Sup, y'all? It's the one and only Twilight Mysteries. Here to discuss some very interesting news and also some new developments regarding the Baltimore Bridge Collapse. These are unprecedented times to be an American. Lots of threats out there, from potential terrorist attacks, wars, unknown diseases, an immigration crisis. They're one of the most unprecedented times to be an American. It's never been this bad. A whole lot of political news and topics and conflicts going on. A lot of our political leaders are being charged and caught for white crimes. Really shows you all of the corruption that we have going on in today's society. But one of the most important things that I wanted to discuss today was the recent incident involving the Baltimore Bridge collapse. Just want to provide some new details as far as the potential devastating impacts of this event that a lot of people don't know, haven't really taken into consideration. But this small bridge, and it's kind of quite perplexing how a ship can actually crash into a bridge in 2024, especially with all of our technology, radar, and sophistication. To me, it seems more or less like this incident, like I said before in the previous live streams, could have been a cyber attack. So today's live stream is mostly going to focus on the devastating and potential impacts for everyday Americans in regards to this bridge collapse. So this is an actual picture of the route itself as far as where it left. Kind of made a boomerang and went directly. I mean, this is a straight shot into the bridge. So basically, there is nothing that they could do, that they were able to do, because could you imagine being in a ship going for this long in a straight line, knowing that you're not able to control it and you're not able to do anything? So one of the first devastating consequences I want to get into in regards to this Baltimore Bridge collapse is the impacts and the strain on the supply chain. And a lot of people don't know actually how important this bridge is for business and the economy. So some of these statistics and facts that I'm going to provide to you guys regarding this, how this potential bridge collapse can impact not only the economy domestically, but also internationally as well. So, of course, the first obvious impact of this bridge collapse is going to be the suspension of maritime traffic. So that's one of the most obvious potential consequences to this event, is that traffic will be suspended for a certain amount of time. Okay. So I really want to jump into some shocking statistics as far as, what type of economic value this port has for the American economy. And some of this statistics and information is quite shocking. So one of the first pieces of information in regarding this event is that it's the busiest port out of all the U.S. ports that we have in America. It's the busiest port for car shipments. And this is especially for U.S. car shipments. This is a very strong statistic that they haven't told you in the news, but this is going to have some devastating impacts on our economy, especially the American car companies that want to export their products to different countries and all of the parts and so forth. So that's the first devastating consequence of this bridge collapse is that, this port is the number one busiest port for car shipments in America. Okay. And the second piece of statistical information that may shock you guys is that this particular port is also the largest for handling farming and construction machinery. So that's another shocking statistic. So the first statistic is that it's the busiest port in America for car shipments. And then the shocking second statistic is that it's also the largest port for farming and farming machinery. So imagine the consequences, Farming is like, people don't realize how much of a centerpiece farming is for our economy. So not only so basically the main sectors that are going to be affected is going to be the U.S. car corporations and businesses and so forth, and then also the farming and construction industry. We're talking about major industries in America that could be potentially impacted by this event. So, and then the third shocking statistic that a lot of you guys may not know in regards to this Baltimore Bridge incident is that this port is also, I believe it's the first or second, most busiest port for American coal exports. So we have cars that could potentially be impacted. We have the farming, the construction industry that can be potentially impacted, and then also the coal industry as well that can be potentially impacted by this bridge collapse. So today, just to kind of give you guys an overview, we're talking about the devastating impacts on the American economy and everyday American lives with this bridge collapse. A lot of people are unaware. A lot of people are in the dark as far as exactly the consequences. So I think we've kind of discussed and kind of touched that topic enough. So expect some major heavy consequences, with the supply chain. Usually when you have a error or something like that, usually it's a delayed effect. So these consequences and these devastating impacts may not be realized immediately, but I can guarantee you within the next month, maybe even a few weeks, we're going to be experiencing some consequences. And then also another very important piece of, it's not really important, but it's a very interesting piece of news in regards to flying car technology. Yes, this is like one of the most interesting topics you can discuss in regards to cars. Is we have some big time developments in regards to new car technology. So basically, this new type of technology developed, it was basically developed in Europe. So Europe developed its own flying car technology, and it's already been, trial run, developed in Europe. It's been tested multiple times, and it's legit. Like there's no issues, flaws. The design scheme and mechanism is pretty flawless for this European flying car technology. So, this European car technology was recently bought by a Chinese firm. Okay? This is not a joke. We are going to have flying cars will be a reality very soon within the next few years. So basically, we're in an era of, you know, new developments in regards to the public transportation sector. So we will be experiencing a revolution in regards to technology for not only public transportation, but also personal transportation too as well. So basically these flying cars, let's see if we have another picture of one of these amazing flying cars. They almost look like a Lamborghini with wings. Could you imagine seeing that? A Lamborghini with wings. That's pretty amazing. Could you imagine all of the car accidents? I mean, not only would it be a new era of, personal transport, but it would be also a new era of aviation disasters and accidents. So let's go ahead and get back to the business perspective of these new flying cars, this new technology. So let's see if we can bring up another picture. Yeah, imagine driving down the road or being on the freeway and seeing one of these pass you up from above. That's like a new type of insult. You've probably always had faster cars or sports cars cut you off, cut lanes without blinkers, be very rude. But imagine being passed up by a flying car while you're stuck in traffic. This would solve a lot of issues for people in high traffic cities such as Los Angeles, New York, and so forth. So basically, with this new type of car technology, this flying car, so this new type of technology was bought by a Chinese firm. And then, as you guys know, China has already led the evolution and race with EVs, electric cars. They have one of the most competitive and dominant markets in regards to EVs. And this is going to be their next step, is being able to produce and develop legit flying cars. And the UK expects flying cars and taxis to be a normality in, well, they're hoping for 2026, but expect to see flying cars like you see cars riding down the road in either 2026 or 2028. So that's another interesting topic that you guys may not be aware of, that the UK and other developed countries expect flying cars to be on the road like taxis in 2026 or 2028. Okay, and then also to get to some more or less scientifical news for the scientific community. I love science. It's one of the most fascinating topics, especially in today's era of all of these new developments and new technology. We're always hearing something new on the news. It seems like every day about a new technology, a new cure, a new treatment, and so forth. But more or less, the main focus has been related to aging, uh, trying to sustain the human body. But so, with this new piece of scientific news I'm going to give you guys, it's actually regarding plant intelligence. Yes, plants are a lot more intelligent than what people give them credit for. You know, see, as you see, humans, we only have about, I don't know the exact number, but I believe it's like 4 or 5 different senses. We can see, we can smell, we can taste, and all of that we can hear. But plants actually have about 14 to 15 different sensory tools and perceptions of how they're able to understand and interact with the environment. So that's a small comparison to us humans having 4 or 5, when plants have about 14 to 15 different ways of being able to interact with their environment. What does that tell you? So plants are able to communicate and talk to each other chemically through vibrations and so many other methods. I mean, it's a lot more superior than what humans can do. So when you put that into your mind, into your perspective of life, it's pretty amazing. And then also another amazing statistic about plants, you know, I can guarantee you in 2024, we are going to find out some interesting and shocking information in regards to plant intelligence. Yes, plant intelligence. And unfortunately, this topic is being tackled not by Western science. Western science will not touch the topic of plant intelligence. So, more or less, you have scientists from all across the globe, different countries, studying plant intelligence. And what they're finding is, it's unbelievable. Okay. So, now that we've discussed the importance of, different types of intelligences in the scientific community, of course, our American view on everything is very egocentric. But now I actually want to bring up a recent news story and shocking discovery in regards to a mysterious swarm intelligence in plants. Yes, there's been a new discovery in regards to the collective consciousness and intelligence in regards to plants. So let's bring it up here. And also, the same thing can be said with animals too. Think they're a lot more smarter than what people give them credit for. And they say farm animals are just as smart as dogs, or even smarter. Especially cows. They're very extremely emotional and intelligent creatures. So let's see if we can find this. See, a lot of people have no idea what these are. And it's mystified the scientific community for decades. And what they're called African fairy circles. And they've mystified scientists and researchers for decades. No one could figure out what they were, how they formed. These African fairy circles in the Namibia Desert and the African plains. So basically, what we're looking at here is grass fields with circles with nothing in them. And the main speculation was that it could have, of course, the most logical explanation would be termites or biomass consumption. But a new breaking discovery and shocking revelation has said that it's a mysterious swarm intelligence in plants that are causing these mystifying circles. Okay? And more or less, I think it's a battle between the Western scientific community and then also the Eastern scientific community. The Western scientific community is a little less open in regards to these shattering perspectives and so forth that could rewrite the books, history books, and so forth. So before we get into a little bit of an explanation as far as what these are, so basically, the main concept with these African fairy circles is that the larger and stronger grasses, as you can see here, the larger and stronger grasses. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Want an actual clear view of this so you can really understand the concept of what's going on and why scientists believe this is a mysterious swarm intelligence in plants. So basically what you have here is a whole bunch of dirt. And what scientists call this is death zones. So the stronger and larger grasses that are on the outside of these circles intake water a lot faster. So basically what they're doing is that they're sucking up all of the water, these larger and stronger grasses. And by doing this, by sucking up and increasing their water intake, these stronger and larger grasses with their competitive advantage outcompete the newly germinated grasses. So essentially, these stronger and longer grasses with their competitive advantage and so forth are sacrificing these newly germinated grasses to a dry death. Okay? If that makes sense to you. So this is a mysterious discovery in regards to plant swarm intelligence. So you have these stronger and larger grasses sacrificing these newly germinated seedlings due to a competition for scarce resources. So these plants, these grasses are able to organize. It's a form of self-organization due to scarce resources, which is water, which is a drought. So they're able to collectively organize and maintain these gaps. They're able to maintain these gaps, these death zones, through self-organization of the stronger and larger grasses with their competitive advantage, and they suck up all the water, thus leaving these newly germinated grasses unable to grow and thrive. So basically, this is a concept of sacrificing in order to survive and maintain. So maybe that was an interesting topic or not. I know it's very scientifical. I thought it was pretty interesting to know that these plants are actually engaging in sacrificing and self-organization. And like I said before, a lot of people thought it could have been termites, but when they looked at the dead roots, when they looked at the roots of the dead grasses within the circle, they saw there was no indicators of biomass consumption, which is what let them, this is why they realized it was a mysterious swarm intelligence. So I thought it was a very interesting topic to know that the mystery of the African fairy circles have finally been solved. And no, it's not termites. It's a mysterious swarm intelligence in plants that the scientific community hasn't really pinpointed. So there is some type of mysterious collective consciousness with plants and so forth that scientists really haven't discovered. So very interesting topic. Then also one of the other things I wanted to discuss within this live stream too as well is these new Tesla robots. They're called Optimus. And they're making they're making leaps and bounds as far as their comparability to what an actual human can do. So these Optimus robots are becoming more and more mimicking the behaviors and duties of what humans can do. So these Optimus robots from Tesla, they can do, they have really fine motor skills. It's quite shocking. So they're able to do laundry. They're able to cook eggs. They're able to do a lot of things that people, it's really like a science fiction movie. They can walk. They're speculated to walk up to 5 miles per hour, these Optimus robots. And they're even able to do tasks such as, a lot of people don't know that these robots can actually sort and organize blocks that are different sizes, shapes, and colors. So that's pretty sophisticated intelligence and AI intelligence for a robot to be able to organize and, maneuver and put together blocks that are different sizes, shapes, and so forth. So a lot of people say that there's going to be some major safety concerns in regards to these new robots, but they're expected to start shipping within the next year or two. And they have sensory lasers within their sensory perception technology within their fingertips. So they're able to do things and move their hands in ways that are like a science fiction movies. Like I said, they're able to do laundry. They're able to cook eggs and do the mundane task that humans don't really want to do. But you can definitely expect some major safety concerns within the horizon with these robots. They could be hacked. We have, not only do we have more sophisticated technology, but we also have quantum computers and so forth. So It'd be kind of like an iRobot situation going on with these new robots from Tesla. So, so that's basically an evolution in regards to technology, these robots, and then that's more or less related to the drone technology that we're seeing. So you can expect to see a lot more drone technology. Basically, drones doing things that people used to do. Especially for, I think more or less, it should be definitely implemented in the military and surveillance sector. So we have a lot of things going on right now that people, we have a lot of surveillance going on that people are unaware of. There's drones that look like birds, that look like insects, and so forth. But I think that should be more or less utilized on the battlefield with military and in dangerous situations. It's 2024, and we should not be jeopardizing human life with these mundane situations. We could save a lot of lives with AI, drones, and so forth. Everything is moving so fast with this technology, especially in 2024, that it seems like it's almost like a science fiction movie. We have robots that are becoming more and more like human, you know? I believe one of the most famous podcasters, Joe Rogan, was shocked with the human capabilities and similarities and characteristics with these Optimus Prime robots and actual human capabilities and movements and behaviors. They're getting better and better with each update that's coming out. So it's going to be pretty amazing where we'll be within the next decade or so with these AI incorporated drones and robots. So, a lot of interesting topics to discuss out there. On Twilight Mysteries, we talk about things that, other places don't talk about. All of this useful information. This is more or less like I'm reporting, trying different styles. More or less people are just more talking and trying to have a discussion with their audience. But this is more or less just reporting on news and what you guys need to know. And like I said within the previous live stream I did, I predicted that the bird flu would reach America. Literally 2 days after that live stream, when I said it's a possibility that the bird flu can move from South America to America. And 2 days later, all over the news, they had news articles saying that U.S. cows, the bird flu was found within their milk. So that's pretty shocking news there. But of course, it's going to be kept hush-hush. And if there were any potential consequences, like if they knew that this bird flu was transmittable to humans, it would definitely be kept out the news. And then also another very interesting revelation I've had with COVID and so forth. Is it coming from the meat? Is it coming from our environment? I would like to know how many vegetarians caught COVID. There is a possibility that it's not an actual virus that's in the air, but it could be something that's within our food supply. And it's only a certain percentage of people that actually eat this type of food, or go to this type of environment that actually catch COVID, or who have actually caught COVID. So that's a very interesting speculation that, that a lot of people don't know if it's, was it actually bird flu, COVID? And people were eating contaminated meats and so forth, and they just called it COVID because if people knew that, a transmittable contagious disease was within the food chain supply, the meat industry would lose a lot of money. A lot of money would be lost. People would stop buying steaks, milk, and so forth if a new type of virus was connected with the food supply. But that's a very strong possibility that COVID might have actually been the bird flu in meats and milks and so forth. So take some time here and kind of get used to this whole setup on this beautiful evening that we have here with Twilight Mysteries. We've discussed some very interesting topics here. A lot of news and so forth and topics that are being hidden from the public. But here at Twilight Mysteries, we think outside of the box, we question the norm. We're basically an underground news source. A lot of these topics you guys probably haven't heard of before. A lot of these perspectives you probably haven't heard before, especially with the Baltimore Bridge and so forth. So think we'll start ending the show here. But thank you so much for tuning in to the one and only Twilight Mysteries. We're going to be streaming a lot more. We're going to be getting a lot better. This is just kind of like a trial run as far as what will be the future. I expect this live stream to become popular, more and more popular as I so in all of the topics and conflicts, I can guarantee you there's going to be some more shocking news or revelations when you turn on your TV tomorrow. There's always something new. Some type of major incident, whether it be a political entity, person, or a business, or some type of corruption or major war incident. There's always something to talk about in these unprecedented, I call them biblical times. We've never had a time in history where we've had unknown diseases, immigration crisis, multiple wars. It's pretty perplexing. These are very crazy times to be an American. Because Americans are always a target. We're always a target for the evil adversaries out there. Especially, a lot of our adversaries say they actually like, especially people outside of the US, they say they actually like American people, the whole culture. But what they don't like is our politicians and our government and the people that are in control of the American people. So that's another perspective that a lot of people fail to realize and comprehend with a lot of these foreign adversaries, such as Russia, potential, you know, conflicts, Russia, China, and so forth. They don't hate American people. They hate our government and our politicians, because we're always getting involved with wars with no positive outcome. So another very interesting perspective to consider too as well. But thank you so much for tuning in to the one and only Twilight Mysteries. So all I have to say is peace, much love, gratitude, happiness. Always have as much as you can, have as much positive thoughts and thinking. It's all about positive thoughts and vibrations, because what you put out and what you think, you know, it will come back to you. So if you're always negative and having negative thoughts and so forth, that negativity will come back to haunt you. So, and a lot of people say that veil between the veil between this physical world and the spiritual world is becoming thinner and thinner. So there's almost like a meshing in between the two as the veil becomes thinner and thinner. Basically, the curtain is being pulled and being unveiled, which is one of the main reasons why we're starting to see so many new mysterious events and circumstances like UFOs, aliens, and so forth. People are seeing more mysterious creatures, more paranormal activity, and even more Bigfoot sightings due to the fact that our veil between the physical and paranormal world or spiritual world is becoming thinner and thinner. And it's going to be amazing to see what type of new technology gets developed in order to peer into the spiritual realm. Because you have to consider, back in the day, when ancient man had no technology or any type of sophisticated systems to observe their natural world, when people saw a shooting star, it was just a myth. So if someone saw a shooting star, there was no way to prove it or have the technology to actually document it and so forth. So the same situation can be said today. We may not have the technology to peer into the spiritual and paranormal realm, probably not until decades or a few decades from now. But we actually may even have that technology with CERN and so forth. So that's another very interesting perspective of the whole concept of the veil between the physical and spiritual world becoming thinner and thinner. We're also going to be developing new technology that will allow us to capture more observable and tangible evidence of the paranormal world, spirits, ghosts, unknown entities. Expect a lot more evidence as our technology becomes a lot more sophisticated. That's a pretty amazing concept to ponder on. All of the ghost hunters and so forth. Could you imagine the type of evidence that we'll be capturing within the next 5 or 10 years? And this is the same concept with dark matter. We can only see 5% of our observable universe. So that means that there's 95%, of reality that we can't see. We only see 5% of our reality. So as the technology becomes a lot more sophisticated and so forth, we'll be able to peer into that other 95% of dark matter, dark energy. And it's basically a battle between the scientific community and the paranormal. I actually did a video on that a few years ago where I've, discussed and explained the concept and the whole concept and thinking of the Western scientific community versus the paranormal. The Western scientific community would never admit that ghosts exist, that there's some type of credibility to the spiritual realm. So there's no collaboration between science and the paranormal. It's always a clash. But like I said before, this clash, this dysfunctional relationship between the scientific community and the paranormal will become more and more meshed. Kind of like how indigenous knowledge and the Western scientific community have to become more and more meshed as climate change, as the world lights up and the world is on fire. So we kind of have to get back to our traditional ways of thinking, and a lot of that has to do with indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge covers all aspects of improving our society, today's society. And that even has to do with the paranormal and spiritual realm. Indigenous knowledge more or less focuses on channeling our inner emotions and inner self and being able to embrace our spiritual side and so forth, and embracing it, not pushing ourselves away. And that's what the Western scientific community likes to do. We like to push ourselves away from the great unknown, the unexpected. And that's basically one of the key differences between indigenous knowledge and scientific community. Indigenous knowledge likes to explore the new frontier of the spiritual, emotional, inner self, while the Western scientific community is more or less worried about exploring the new frontier of the mind and body. So that's basically one of the key differences. The Western science only entails the mind and body, but indigenous knowledge covers all aspects: mind, body, and spirit. And kind of what's going on, the whole theme that's playing out here. As we progress into 2024 with all of this new technology, but then at the same time, humanity needs to come back to its roots. Basically back to a time where we were more closer with the earth, where we were basically more or less newborns to Mother Earth. But it seems like as we've progressed and progressed and progressed, we've lost our separation with Earth. But now as time progresses, as we go into 2024, it seems like humanity needs to take a step back and get back in touch with its ancient and characteristics about the teachings and values of reciprocity and so forth. So, and I just had a revelation. They say a lot of the things that we see in the movies are actually a prediction of what's to come in the future. And a lot of the movies, especially American movies, have actually predicted the future in certain scenarios. And it's a way of kind of, just preparing society for what's to come in the future. Basically like a mass preparation of mass consciousness to prepare society for, new realities, the new future, new technology, how society will actually be, the new threats, the new developments from viruses, zombies to technologies that take over the planet, Terminator, um, in all these zombie movies. And a lot of the technology that we've seen in movies from the previous decades are actually a reality today. So, what's going on here with a lot of these old, not old, but with a lot of our science fiction movies? This is going to be a very interesting revelation here. Is that a lot of our new scientific movies based on science fiction, such as Dune, or Done, or whatever that movie is called. I like sci-fi movies with action. I don't like too much story. That's why Star Trek is one of my favorite types of science fiction movies, because they include action and not so much storytelling. But with a lot of these science fiction movies, such as Star Wars, Dune, what they have is a collaboration of new technology and primitive human characteristics. So basically, it's like a combination of new advanced societies that are also being able to live primitively with the earth. This is like these types of dystopian societies, but it seems like this could really be a possibility in our future. Because maybe people that are more advanced than us, people, let's say 100 years from now or 200 years from now, you know, people may realize, that we may have to have super advanced technology, but be able to live in a primitive and sustainable way. Which is why you see many of the science fiction movies have a combination of advanced technology, but then at the same time, they've taken root of their primitive human culture. So that's exactly where society is going today. Unfortunately, we have all of this new technology. Everyone has to buy the newest updated phone and so forth. But then at the same time, as we move towards this new era of technology, we also need to be brought back to our indigenous knowledge, because our ancestors were a lot more connected to the earth than we were. They had more senses. They had more abilities to do things. A lot of them were probably telepathic or psychic, because they didn't have all of the disruptions, the 5G, the distractions that we have today. But it's going to be so important of having the best of both worlds with this advanced society that also has connections and teachings to indigenous knowledge, and are able to live not really in a primitive way, but in a way that would primitively impact the planet in a negative way, such as climate change. So definitely a very interesting statistic, how a lot of these science fiction movies show a combination of primitive living along with advanced technology. And that's exactly where we're heading today, because humans really need to get back to that's what sustainability is, basically indigenous knowledge. And that's exactly where society is heading today. It's a clash of technology advancements and being able to make life better and more accessible and progressing humanity, but at the same time being able to get back to our primitive ways of not really living, but our mentality and our perspectives. So, very interesting concept to take into consideration. And also, another very fascinating topic is the technological improvements that we have going on with cloning and DNA replication. Okay, there's a lot of things going on today, guys, in 2024 that makes it seem like a real life science fiction movie. We're really at the crossroads of a new type of society. Okay, so what we have going on with this new type of cloning and DNA technology, mostly with stem cells development and research, is that we will be able to create a Jurassic Park within the near future if they already don't have one already. Because a lot of the technology that they put out or that they provide to us today, we're 10 years ahead, 50 years ahead. A lot of people say that we're even 100 years ahead of what's being released to the public. So what they're doing is that they're taking the DNA from extinct animals and animals that are on the verge of extinction, such as the Tasmanian tiger and the woolly mammoth. And they're very certain and confident with this new type of stem cell technology that they'll be able to produce, like actual living models of these extinct creatures, from woolly mammoths to Tasmanian tigers to even dinosaurs. The possibility is endless. And just to kind of touch on to what I said before, a lot of the movies the previous movies that were developed, back in the day are actually becoming a reality in today's society. So, another very interesting concept with the whole situation with being able to clone extinct animals and bring them back to life. And then also, of course, the new developments in regards to anti-aging. There's some big time developments in regards to being able to reverse the age of our skin. We're also developing new types of enzymes that can potentially break down waste and plastics too as well. So lots of new developments in regards to scientific advancements in technology. Like I said before, we're at a crossroads. We're going to start seeing things that we've never seen before. But thank you so much for tuning in. This is the one and only Twilight Mysteries, because we talk about things that you will not hear elsewhere. But thank you so much.